All right, guys, welcome back to another video. And before we get into this one, I just want to make a quick announcement. I do have a Spotify that will be linked in the description below. Go ahead, if you are a Spotify user, follow that, rate the show. Really would appreciate that, as I am trying to grow my Spotify here. It's the same show that I put out every single morning, but it just releases a bit after the YouTube release. But if you want to listen there, go check that out. But let's start off here and let's talk about Xbox Game Pass, as we got the first slate of games, the announcement for March here with 6 games. And I think this is a pretty phenomenal announcement here to start off the month of March with MLB The Show 24, Control the Ultimate Edition, No More Heroes 3, Paw Patrol World, SpongeBob, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and Lightyear Frontier. Now, first of all, there's also Warhammer 40,000 Bolcom that is available right now. This was one that was announced at a previous Game Pass announcement, and really cool first-person retro shooter. Think Doom, think Duke Nukem with the retro style graphics. I played it previously. It is a very fun game, so go check that one out. But in terms of the games that were announced, here's when they are releasing. You have Paw Patrol World releasing March 7th for cloud, console, and PC. If you have kids, this will be a great one for them. The next one, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, cloud, console, and PC, coming March 12th. Great for kids, but I think also great for people like myself that like 3D platformers. I may actually end up checking this game out and just seeing how fun it is. Control Ultimate Edition. Now, this isn't the first time that Control has been on Game Pass. It is coming to cloud, console, and PC on March 13th, but there is a difference. You get the Ultimate Edition here, which is a nice upgrade from the first time that Control was on Xbox Game Pass, whereas now you're getting the Xbox Series X and S upgrades for the game, and you're also getting the 2 main DLC expansions, the Foundation and Awe. The game will be running at 1440p 30 FPS on the Xbox Series X with ray tracing, or 1440p 60 FPS without ray tracing. And then on the Xbox Series S, you're getting 900p 60 FPS without ray tracing. So a nice upgrade there from the first time that Control was on the service. This next game here, very excited about. No More Heroes 3 coming to cloud, console, and PC on March 14th. An action hack and slash game. If you ever played the No More Heroes games, they're very fun. So I will definitely be checking out and playing this one. And then we got Lightyear Frontier game preview. This is one I think a lot of people are actually excited for. This is day 1 game, and it is coming March 19th to cloud, PC, and the Xbox Series X and S, and it is like that farming world building simulator. And I think this is one that we've seen at previous showcases that a lot of people will be interested in checking out. And then finally, of course, MLB The Show 24, cloud and console on March 19th, day 1 Xbox Game Pass game coming from Sony San Diego, a PlayStation studio. This is the 3rd year in a row now that Xbox has gotten one of the best sports games, maybe to some people the best sports game. It is a very high quality sports game coming from PlayStation Studios. If you like baseball, even if you don't like baseball and you just like playing through simulation style of stuff and just simulation sports games, you will probably enjoy this in the franchise mode and everything. So very fun game, and it still boggles my mind how this game comes onto Game Pass Day 1 but does not launch into PlayStation Plus on their subscription service day and date. You'd think that they would want to do that, because now the show is a multi-platform game. Xbox, PlayStation, the Nintendo Switch, it is releasing everywhere, and people will still go out and buy it even if it does launch into a subscription service. But if you're on PlayStation, you're actually going to have to go pay full price on this rather than playing it day 1 in Xbox Game Pass. So I think this is a great slate of games. Lots of stuff to check out here in March. And of course, today is the partner showcase where we may be getting some more announcements for games coming to Game Pass, which is exciting. Now, when it comes to the success of Game Pass games, Dead Island 2 is doing very well. This is from Benji Sales saying Dead Island 2 is performing tremendously strong on Game Pass. It is currently the #1 most popular game in the US, above both Minecraft and Palworld. And I mean, Dead Island 2 is, from all accounts, is a phenomenal game, a nice jump from the first one, a game that a lot of people were waiting for a long time. And what Xbox did with this game was they shadow dropped it out of nowhere on to the Game Pass service. And when that happened, I was thinking to myself that was probably the biggest game from the previous slate of games to be released into Xbox Game Pass. So you would have thought they would have really wanted to market that and let people know that the game was there. And even when we look at this announcement, They don't have it in the picture or anything. So it is just a complete shadow drop in terms of an announcement into Xbox Game Pass. And I figure that may potentially hurt it. People may not find out that it is in the service. And that clearly has not been the case. So they can put big games in there just out of nowhere, and people are going to find it and people are going to play it if it is something that will excite them. So Dead Island 2 doing extremely well here on Xbox Game Pass. Now let's jump over here. Let's talk some more Xbox controllers that are coming out. Now, Xbox loves their controllers. There's always that meme about they have just tons of controllers. When people were always saying Xbox had no games, they would always say, but they have controllers, things like that. And they're putting out some other interesting ones here from Fallout, but these are via Xbox Design Hub. Now, I think these look actually great. If you take a look at the screen, you can see the different colors of the thumbsticks. You can see the design of it. And I think these look really, really cool. But it says here, a fresh new controller ready for an adventure in the wasteland. Pick up your Xbox wireless controller Fallout Edition exclusively from the Xbox Design Lab. So you get to go in there, you get to choose that skin, that case for your controller that has the Fallout graphics on it. And then you get to choose the different colors of buttons, D-pad, joysticks, all those things that you generally get to choose when you're designing your own Xbox controller. So very cool. If you're a Fallout fan, this may be one that you do want to look into. All right, let's talk some Xbox Cloud Gaming, because I found this one here to be a feature that is awesome to see. It isn't directly from Xbox, but Xbox is supporting it by not actually banning people from using this, and they're actually saying go ahead and use it. It's safe to use, and that is Better xCloud. It's a plugin for your browser that if you just download it and then it works directly on your browser. It's on this GitHub website. It's really easy to install. You just go to click on the link, whether you're using Chrome or Edge or Kiwi browser or Safari, and it will install just like a regular extension to the browser. And it lets you do a bunch of things here with Xbox Cloud Gaming that you can't do just regularly, specifically through the browser itself. And it says it's totally open source, enables 1080p resolution on all devices. It bypasses PWA requirements on iOS and iPad OS 17, improved visual quality of the stream with clarity boost. It enables local co-op support. So this was the coolest thing here that was being highlighted, was with this feature right now on Xbox Cloud Gaming, you can't have the local co-op for games that support that. But if you do install this extension, you're going to be able to do that. So if you're thinking about how can I play with my friends, if we're sitting in front of a monitor or we're sitting in front of a laptop or something, and we just want to play a quick game or something in local co-op via Cloud Gaming, this is how you're going to be able to do it. It also allows being able to play with a mouse and keyboard, enables remote play, has touch controller for all games, custom touch controller layouts for non-touch supported games, which is a big feature because one of the best things with Xbox Cloud Gaming that Xbox did themselves was implement touch controls. So if you're just on your phone, you don't have a controller with you, you can just use the touch screen controls, which I never really find are intuitive overall, but just having that option is a good thing. But not all games do support that. And there are some games that you would think should support it because they would be perfect, like smaller games that don't need that much input. You're not doing these different intricate inputs and button presses. Those would be perfect, and not all of them actually support those touch controls. And now with this plugin, it will. This plugin also will allow you to see stream stats, screenshot captures, and more. And it's supported on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, and iOS. So pretty cool plugin here. Better xCloud, and it is safe. The xCloud devs have actually endorsed this feature for you to use, and they're not going to be banning people for using this third-party extension. So I thought that was pretty nice to bring up because there's maybe a lot of people here that don't know about this Better xCloud extension. If you are somebody who does use Xbox Cloud Gaming via the browser a decent amount. Okay, let's jump over here because again, today is the partner showcase from Xbox. We're going to see a lot of games. I'm really excited about it. And I think potentially this may be one of the games that they do show off here, as Japanese retailers have listed the Stalker Legends of the Zone trilogy for pre-order. Now, this says here coming to PlayStation 4. This is the first 3 original games that they are going to be putting out, but I'm assuming here that it's going to be multi-platform, and if it is shown off at the Partner Direct, it's going to be coming over to Xbox as well. But this kind of came out of nowhere, and again, the 3 original games coming to the consoles, which is great. You're going to have the full support of the controls and hopefully some nice upgrades and everything. And this is before Stalker 2 does come out, which, as we know, is a Xbox console exclusive. Whether that's timed or not, it is coming first to Xbox and then it's going to be released in other places. This is probably to set up that hype for the September 5th release of Stalker 2. So cool to see this, and then we will see if they actually do announce this at the Xbox Partner Direct. All right, let's jump over here and let's talk about Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers, as we know, the game division just put out Suicide Squad, which has been a failure of a game commercially at the very least, where they have been disappointed in the numbers. We have seen the player counts just completely fall off. We have seen that it has now been brought up in this whole Sweet Baby Inc. controversy thing that is going on. So just not a very good time for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and Warner Brothers now when it comes to their major AAA games. And the writing was on the wall with Suicide Squad before it was released, just in terms of the gameplay that people saw, them turning it more into a live service game and a looter shooter. And I don't think that's what anybody really did want out of the game. And of course, it did end up making the game not very successful. But Warner Brothers was discussing AAA games, the volatile market of AAA games, and their direction going forward, which I think isn't going to be very exciting for a lot of people out there. It says here, during a recent Morgan Stanley speaking event, Warner Brothers Discovery gaming boss J.B. Perrette discussed some of the company's strategy for gaming going forward, and it includes more live service, mobile, and free-to-play games. Here's exactly what he says. We're doubling down on games as an area where we think there is a lot more growth opportunity that we can tap into with the IP that we have and some of the capabilities we have on the studio, where we're uniquely positioned as both a publisher and a developer of games. He mentions the volatility in the market, specifically the AAA games market for consoles, which obviously Suicide Squad, which just released, was a disaster for them, but also doesn't really look at the fact that Hogwarts Legacy just sold 22 million copies in 2023, becoming the best-selling game that year, beating out the likes of Call of Duty, which even though that game releases at the end of the year, it always becomes the best-selling game because of how insanely popular it is. So Hogwarts Legacy beating Call of Duty was a major feat for them. So I guess that wasn't enough, and Suicide Squad being poorly received and a disappointment to the company was enough to scare them off. He says this: rather than just launching a one and done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, a Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter that is a live service where people can live and work and build and play in that world in an ongoing basis? He singles out games like Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and DC as their biggest franchises, and says that they have a strategic investment plan which is going to help make future games more successful, which, I mean, that strategic investment plan is going to be making more games as a service, live service stuff, which kind of boggles my mind. If you're WB Games here and you're looking at what happened with Suicide Squad, you're looking at what happened with Hogwarts Legacy, and your decision, your direction that you want to go is to make more games like Suicide Squad because of wanting to get people to continuously pay into that game rather than just sell those 22 million copies and then make a second game which will sell millions and millions of copies. Kind of a very odd direction for WB to go, but it does not seem like it is the correct direction. The comparison here, though, is we kind of have to look at what has been going on within the gaming industry. And this is a pivot and a shift that a lot of people are making. And these companies, these publishers, because these development costs are high, because they are getting bigger and bigger, they can't just make a game, sell it, and then not make any more money off that game. They obviously are looking at their numbers and seeing, we need to have ongoing revenue. Now, what does that mean? I don't think every game needs to be a live service game. Like if you have a Hogwarts Legacy that sold extremely well, just make a Hogwarts Legacy 2, and I'm sure that game will be very, very profitable, just like the first one. But there are other titles out there that the risk, I guess, is just way too high to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to develop it for it to flop like a Suicide Squad did, which scares off these executives and these companies when they see stuff like that happen, and they want to go to a less risk plan, which would be targeting mobile gamers where they're spending money constantly just by clicking on their phone, and then trying to make more money on live service, which is never a guarantee. We've seen plenty of live services being made. So very odd time. And this kind of reminds me, this is the ebb and flow of the gaming industry. If you remember, I think it was in like the 2010s or something, where EA was saying the same stuff about single player games, how they were essentially going away and they were going to focus more on multiplayer and more live service stuff. That did not work. Then they started making single player games again. That was being profitable for them. And now we're back, I guess, where because those costs for those single player games have risen to a point that just are not sustainable, these companies are just trying to do the same thing they tried a decade ago, which I don't think is going to end up working out. And we're eventually going to start seeing it go back to the single player stuff and maybe smaller single player games that cost less to make. Very crazy time here in the gaming industry, that with everything that is going on. And it brings me back to who is best positioned right now. And I think when you're looking at the major manufacturers, the major publishers, it is Xbox right now with all of the stuff that they do have. Single player, games as a service, multiplayer. They've set themselves up now with mobile because of the Activision ABK stuff that they purchased with like Call of Duty and Call of Duty Warzone Mobile coming out. And you're seeing all of these other major companies having to pivot with everything that is happening. So we will see if they truly stick to this decision or if they do eventually continue to be making those big AAA single player games. All right, let's jump over here and let's talk about TimeSplitters. So we know what has been happening with the Embracer Group. They've been selling off studios, they've been closing studios, they've been laying people off and canceling games. And one of those studios that got completely closed down and the TimeSplitters remake or reimagination, whatever you want to call it, got closed off with it. And this is a game that a lot of people did love back in the day, including myself. So I was really excited to hear that they were bringing it back. And now we are getting some footage as to what this game was going to look and play like, as we have Rob Steptoe here on LinkedIn, who is posting stuff about the project itself, saying, I'll be sure to post what I can. There's about a 5-minute video of the game with the gameplay, and really is not as exciting as I thought it was. Now, it's kind of a hard thing here to judge because there's two ways to look at this. One, I'm looking at the gameplay itself and I'm like, I'm very happy that this game got canceled now at this point. And I'm really happy that this game did not come out because I feel like it would have ruined the original TimeSplitters for a lot of people. If you take a look at this video, it's essentially a Fortnite reskin with just a, I guess, TimeSplitter skin on it. But the way that the players move, the gunplay, even when they die, and the loot coming out, and even the menus look essentially the exact same as Fortnite. So not something I would have wanted. And if this would have came out and it's a game that I was waiting for a new TimeSplitters, I would have been extremely disappointed. Then you also have to look at it the other way, is that maybe there would have been a lot of people out there that did actually enjoy this with how popular Fortnite was, and that's what they were going for, just trying to use the TimeSplitters name and put out a game that would potentially just be a nice cash in for them. And that would have at least kept the studio alive and the people employed if it wasn't for the mismanagement of the Embracer Group. But for me personally, just from looking at the gameplay footage itself, I mean, I am kind of confused why they decided to go with this, but it's obviously going back into creating live service and multiplayer to get continuous money as to what they were probably told that they should be creating with a remake of the TimeSplitters. But there's the gameplay. So maybe for some people out there who are nostalgic like me, a little bit less disappointment now that the game did get canceled. But that's it for me today, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, or if you've been watching for a while and you do enjoy what you see, I really appreciate that. And check out Spotify in the description below, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the next video. Bye.